In what may go down as one of the most tense and consequential parliamentary showdowns in South African history, President Cyril Ramaphosa found himself cornered in a political maelstrom as Julius Malema's fiery uprising collided with Helen Zille's calculated maneuvering. The events of this session have left political analysts, journalists, and citizens alike questioning not just the future of the president, but the very stability of the ruling party and the Government of National Unity, GNU. From the moment Malema stood to speak, it was clear that the session would be historic. Known for his unrelenting rhetoric, the EFF leader lashed out at the president with unprecedented intensity, branding him as a figure whose leadership had failed to deliver on promises of social justice, economic empowerment, and accountability. South Africans are tired of half measures, Malema declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. We are tired of seeing corruption tolerated, of seeing billionaires protected, and of watching poverty grow while the elite dance in luxury. Cyril Ramaphosa, your time of indecision is over. His words were not just political theatre, they were a call to action for a population increasingly frustrated with systemic failures. Every accusation, every pointed criticism, struck at the core of Ramaphosa's presidency. The EFF's growing influence among young voters and disenfranchised communities was evident, and Malema made sure Parliament and the nation felt the full weight of his message. While Malema brought fire, Helen Zille brought ice. The former Western Cape Premier and DA stalwart delivered a speech marked not by emotional theatrics, but by strategic precision. Zille's critique was sharp, focusing on governance failures, indecision in policy implementation, and the erosion of institutional integrity under Ramaphosa's watch. Unlike Malema, her criticism was meticulously constructed, aimed at painting a picture of a presidency in decline without descending into populist rhetoric. Political insiders suggest Zille's moves are part of a larger strategic calculation. By combining the DA's influence with Malema's rising momentum indirectly, Zille positions her party as a credible power broker in any post-Ramaphosa landscape. The optics of her subtle support, through alignment of criticism, without overt collaboration with Malema, signal a masterclass in political maneuvering. The result of this unlikely convergence of opposition voices was dramatic. Ramaphosa, long seen as a skilled political operator, appeared visibly constrained, forced to defend his record against attacks from both ends of the ideological spectrum. ANC members rushed to his aid, but the combined force of Malema's aggression and Zille's strategic dissection made it increasingly difficult for him to maintain authority. Observers described the session as a moment where the president's control of parliament felt tenuous at best. The juxtaposition of Malema's passionate indictments and Zille's meticulous critique left Ramaphosa isolated, with allies visibly anxious and opposition forces emboldened. The very air of the chamber seemed to signal a shift in the political balance, one that could redefine the trajectory of the ANC and the nation. Insiders suggest that the session was not just about speeches but calculated political positioning. Malema's uprising galvanizes his base and forces attention on systemic inequalities, while Zille's measured approach ensures that the DA is viewed as a stabilizing yet influential force ready to capitalize on any vacuum left by Ramaphosa's potential weakening. Political analysts are watching for several key outcomes. 1. Reshuffling of cabinet and ANC structures, Ramaphosa may be forced to make concessions to maintain stability. 2. Strengthening of EFF influence in Parliament, Malema's bold approach could sway undecided MPs or amplify public pressure for change. 3. DA strategic leverage, Zille's calculated stance allows the DA to position itself as a rational, reform-oriented alternative without overtly allying with Malema. Each of these dynamics points to a complex chessboard where Ramaphosa, despite his experience, may now be playing from a position of vulnerability. The session sparked immediate debate on social media, in newsrooms, and across civil society. Citizens expressed both hope and anxiety, hope that their leaders are being held accountable, and anxiety over the apparent disunity at the highest levels of government. Public confidence in the ANC's ability to govern effectively has been shaken, and even staunch supporters of Ramaphosa are asking hard questions about his capacity to navigate this storm. International observers have also taken note. South Africa, long considered a stable anchor in the region, is showing signs of intense internal political strain, which could have implications for investment, diplomacy, and the country's standing on the global stage. With Malema's fiery rebellion and Zille's calculated positioning, Ramaphosa faces an existential challenge. Analysts warn that unless he acts decisively, through reform, strategic alliances, or a clear articulation of leadership, he could find his presidency irreversibly weakened. Some predict a gradual erosion of authority, while others speculate about a full-blown leadership contest within the ANC, potentially triggered by these seismic parliamentary events. What is clear, however, is that Ramaphosa can no longer rely on complacency or traditional support networks. The landscape has shifted, and the next moves will determine not just his political fate, but the trajectory of South African governance for years to come. Today, South African politics witnessed a historic confluence, Malema's uprising confronting Ramaphosa head-on, and Zille's calculated maneuvering quietly reshaping the power balance. Together, they have signaled that the status quo is no longer tenable. The message is clear: change is coming, and Ramaphosa is cornered like never before. History will remember this parliamentary session not only for the speeches delivered but for the power dynamics it unveiled, a defining moment that could herald a new era in South African politics.